You are entering the bonus stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com, with your host Marauder
and Phoenix923,
a podcast for all gamers,
console and PC alike.
Welcome to Bonus Stage.
Hello and welcome to Bonus Stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com. As always, I am your host Marauder.
And I'm Phoenix923.
And this is the first podcast we're doing in February. It's been a little while since we did this the last time, if I could talk right. And so we're going to get right to it, because we got a big topic to talk about that I'm very passionate to discuss.
We're passionate about everything. It's just this one kind of
is something else.
It stokes the fire pretty well in terms of how heated we will get over this.
I couldn't believe this was true when I heard it. Anyway, we'll get to that. As always, we're going to check out what's new on oceanofbees.com first. So head over there. And again, if you guys want to check it out, it's oceanofbees.com. Not to be confused with giantseaofbees.net. So, we got a couple new videos. First off, there is the Inspector Online Left 4 Dead 2 Episode 13. You know, eventually those titles to those videos are going to get ridiculously long. It's going to be like the Inspector Online Left 4 Dead 2 Episode 3 Part 17. I go hunting for
noobs.
Yeah, I go hunting for noobs. You guys know the drill by now. The Inspector goes on to Left 4 Dead 2's multiplayer and messes with people and tries to have a polite conversation.
And they generally berate him.
Actually, this video is kind of different because the guy was actually having quite a bit of fun with him.
Yeah.
So, that was fun to watch. And the last video that's new is the Inspector 2013 trailer. Basically just a trailer showcasing what he's planning to do in 2013. Scrolling down the page, we have a couple new blogs, both written by yours truly. My ego needs to be bigger.
Need to stoke it more.
Yes. I have 3 movie reviews up since last we've done this. The first one is The Last Stand, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. So if you guys want to know what my thoughts on that one are, go check that out. And then the last blog is a review of both the movie Parker and Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, because Alex and I couldn't decide which one to see, so we saw both.
I'm kind of surprised, because normally whenever you come back from a movie, you tell me everything about it, and those last 2 you didn't say anything.
Well, no, because when I came back I had to go to work, and then when I got home I was so tired I forgot. But I did sit down and type out my thoughts. So, if you want to check out what I thought of those 3 films, do head over to oceanofbees.com and check it out. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our topic segment. And I want to bring up the article that I was reading just so I can reference it at times if need be. Well, okay, so Phoenix, are you a fan of Dead Space at all?
It's a pretty fun series. I do enjoy the whole survival horror genre. You know, even though it scares the crap out of me sometimes, I find it really fun.
So you've played both 1 and 2?
I've played like almost all the way through 1, and then just to basically see how well it ran on my laptop, I played through like the first 2 hours of 2.
Okay.
And I did have fun in both of them, yes. So
now, see, I'm kind of the opposite. I went out and bought. I heard a lot of good things about Dead Space, so I went out and got the first one for my Xbox.
Yep.
Actually, as of right now, I can't even see it on my shelf. Where did I put it? Oh well, not important right now. I'll find it.
Well, isn't it in that premium case or whatever?
Yes, it's in the platinum case or something, and it looks terrible.
Uh-huh.
I know, which is why it's so hard I can't spot it. Oh, there it is. Yep. Look at that terrible case. Sticks out like a sore thumb. I played that for probably 5 or 6 hours, I think. And I didn't care for it. I'm not the biggest survival horror fan to begin with. I can appreciate it, and I can understand why people like the series. I don't. care for it much from what I've played.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to give me credit. I did go out and buy it and try it, so.
Well, I'll just say the thing that does bother me about it is it kind of falls onto the whole cheap scare type tactic.
Yeah, but see, I'm okay with that because
I'm fine with that too. It's just, it's just every single little dead alien or whatever is laying on the ground, and I'm like, as soon as I walk past that, it's going to jump up. I know it. So I always basically dismember it before I walk past it. And then nothing happens.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But then there's the other part of it where, sometimes you just see the monsters coming from, like, down the hallway, and it's not really that scary. But those are really the only two things that I kind of don't like about it. But other than that, I do have fun playing it, because it does set the atmosphere really well.
Right. Yeah, so anyway, so I haven't been following Dead Space much at all, but something popped up in regards to Dead Space 3 that I just can't believe is actually happening. Essentially, Dead Space 3, okay, I have heard that Electronic Arts is turning it into, like, more of a shooter and less of a survival horror game, which, fine, whatever, do with it what you want. Because they said earlier that they said something. What did they say? It's something about, like, if it doesn't sell well, they're not going to continue with it.
Yep, they said that Dead Space 3 would be the last game in the whole series if it does not sell well.
Okay, and I can understand that. I mean, if a series isn't profitable, I could see a company dropping it. It happens.
Yep.
So they turned it into more of a shooter. Because, shooters are all that exist right now. And I know. It's not true, but it certainly seems to be.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, they decided to turn it into more of a shooter. And that's fine. Do with it what you will. But something popped up about a feature in the game that I am not at all happy about. Basically, according to the developer Visceral Games, the developers of Dead Space 3, said that they're going to integrate a microtransaction system where you can spend real-world money in-game to buy resources.
That's in the single-player game, mind you.
Yeah, that's in the single-player game. You can use your own money to buy resources for to build stuff. There's like this crafting system in the game, apparently, where you can craft weapons and armor and upgrades or what have you. And you don't... According to the developer, I found an interview with, what's his name? John Calhoun, who basically states that it's not necessary to spend real-world money in the microtransactions. It's just something that they're implementing because they found... I want to say exactly what he said. I do. I don't want to put words in the man's mouth. Yes, we wanted to make Dead Space as accessible to all kinds of players, whether you're hardcore or coming from a mobile background, which is why we put it in there. We know the hardcore gamers are going to... I can't say that word. Scoff at the idea of paying for something, so here are a couple of facts. Dead Space 3 is not play to win. All the resources available are available naturally within the game, and are enough to beat the game on its hardest setting. This is entirely optional. Oh, the resource packs are available because there is a large audience of players out there who come from a mobile gaming background. People who are 10 to 15 years younger than you and I, and
AKA people who probably shouldn't be playing Dead Space in the first place.
Yeah, probably. And are actually playing mobile first. They play mostly on iOS or Android and don't necessarily play a whole lot of console stuff. The concept of instant gratification, having only 15 minutes to play, but wanting to still be able to succeed, that's the kind of game design that these people are used to. He concludes this whole diatribe by saying, "We're really trying to be inclusive and think about the gamers first." couple of things. One, it's a $60 game. The reason Android and iOS can get away with their microtransaction BS is because they're only really charging you a couple of dollars
per game.
Right. You're paying 99 cents. You're paying, I don't know, what's the most expensive game I've seen on iOS is like $10 I've seen games for. And, that's a lot, but still, you get what you pay for most of the time, I think. I don't know. But I don't play a lot of mobile stuff. I have an iPod, but it's really old, and it doesn't download any of the new software pretty much. But anyway, they can get away with it because they're not charging you $59.99.
Yep. But
you are. And the fact that you're trying to shoehorn this in, it's not so much that they're doing it, it's the reasoning behind it. Well, we're trying to appeal to everybody and be as inclusive as possible. Right. Which is why they turned it into a third-person shooter rather than a survival horror game, because shooters sell better. And now they also don't think their game's going to sell enough, so what are they going to do? They're going to force you to buy, not necessarily force, but they're going to implement a microtransaction system.
So they can just squeeze the nickel and dimes out of your wallet.
I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I've had my fill of bullshit DRM, shoehorned in multiplayer, stupid DLC packs and downloads crap.
That cost way too much.
That cost more than it's worth. I'm getting sick of it. And now this game comes along, which is a game that I may at some point try. I don't know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not against Dead Space. So I might pick up the second one, but God forbid I pick up the third one.
Yeah, for as much as I like Dead Space, I'm probably not going to pick up the third one because of all this. Just
online passes, that was the other thing.
Yeah.
Online passes and vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when is $60 you're spending? It blows my mind. And they want more money for not doing any extra work. That's really what's upsetting. Like I said before, if it's a DLC pack or something that's worth buying,
that actually adds something to the game instead of, something just cosmetic.
Right. Then I can see buying it. If it's worth the money, then it will sell. But they're trying to implement this transaction system, and what's even scarier is the fact that this might become commonplace. If this succeeds, if people buy into this, and EA sees it as a viable alternative, or a viable addition to games, it's not really an addition in my mind, but you know what I mean. More and more games are going to do this, and they're basically just milking you for every nickel and dime you have at this point. It's no longer okay to spend $60 and sit down and play your game. You're not buying a game anymore. You're investing in a game.
Yep. You're buying a subscription to a game.
Yeah, it's not a purchase, it's a subscription, and they keep selling you more and more. And like I said, I'm not against it in theory, because if the extra content is worth it, I'm willing to spend more. Case in point, Payday the Heist.
Yep.
They put out a DLC pack with a couple extra levels and such, and heck, I love that game, and I knew I was going to get my money's worth out of that, and I bought it day one, no questions asked.
Same here. And got well more than what I thought I was going to get.
Or, I'm trying to think of another DLC I bought recently that was worth it. Oh, Sonic All-Stars Racing. The first one.
Mm-hmm.
You could pay to download Metal Sonic and an extra track. Heck, I put hundreds of hours into that game. That game's amazing. So yeah, I'll buy another player and another map. That's fine. Because they're only charging you I think I paid like $3 for both the map and the character. So that's not bad at all. So, I don't know.
Just publishers being greedy. Well, more greedy than they have been over the past few years.
And what really... I'll have a link to this article in the description of the video feed, but what really upsets me is the person who's interviewing them, what's his name again? John Calhoun, asks whose idea it was, and he's like, and he says, EA leaves us alone. Almost every decision when it comes to the game's hours and hours alone. We're trying to find ways to make sure that Dead Space 3 is really accessible. Well, you could maybe make it fun. When did games...
Actually make a quality game.
I understand... Yeah, right?
Uh-huh.
I understand that games have to be accessible, obviously. If it's too complicated or too daunting of a task to try to play the thing, no one's going to play it.
Well, except Dwarf Fortress.
I can't believe that game exists in the state it's in. But anyway, back to the point. There was a PC game I played back in high school called, I can't remember, it was like Star Wars Empire at War or something like that. And it was the most complicated game I have ever seen in my life. To this day, I still can't find a game, well, probably Dwarf Fortress, but that's just so complicated. It's basically a spreadsheet, if you can imagine this. It's basically a Star Wars spreadsheet where all you do is research technology and try to colonize and take over planets in a solar system. And it's absolutely terrible. I borrowed it from a friend of mine, and about a week later I went to him and I said, I have no idea what I'm doing, I need the manual. He hands me the Bible of all game manuals. And he says to me, he goes, here's the manual, I highlighted the things that are useful. And I thought, great. So I was in study hall and I whipped the book out and I started reading. He highlighted every other paragraph. And it's the most... I wish I could show it to you. It's insane. That game... Anyway. So I can understand... and that made me not want to play it. I was really excited until I actually tried to play it. And I couldn't understand it. So, it has to be easy to play and hard to master. And that's something very difficult to get right. Making your game accessible. But this is not the way to do it. Putting in these microtransactions is not the way to do it. Well, if you want to spend the money, then go right ahead. Why should I have to? I just bought the game for $60. What did that necessarily get me? A broken, unfinished piece of crap.
No, it's more or less just content that they already created through the game, but they're just kind of keeping it from you.
Well, what makes me more upset about this is they're not selling you, DLC in this case.
Yeah, it's not DLC. It's just basically something to boost a number.
Yeah, you're buying stuff you could find in the world. It's like, imagine if you were playing an RPG and you're like, I want to be level 10. Here's $5. Oh good, all my characters are level 10. You didn't have to put in any of the work.
Yep.
Not that I'm saying games should be work, they should be fun, but I'm saying that's part of the game. And if you can't make that part of the game enjoyable, maybe you shouldn't have it in the game.
Yeah, what type of game do I just find grinding really fun? Well, with me being an RPG guy, really, any Tales of Symphonia. I love the battle system in Tales of Symphonia.
That is a really good game. I like that game.
And the thing is that with RPGs, there is a lot of battles, and to get stronger, you have to fight in a lot of battles. So they had to come up with a way to make the battle system fun and enjoyable so that people don't groan whenever they get caught in a battle. And that's how I felt with Tales of Symphonia, is that it was pretty fun to get in a battle. Especially the later boss battles really exciting. But if they can't even come up with a likable way to do something in a game without resorting to some... Basically, it's a glorified cheat.
Right.
Then you're not designing your game right. You know? If it's not fun to do something, and the only way to really bypass it to get the most out of it is to basically buy a cheat, you're not doing it right.
I just keep going back to, there's two games that again, RPGs, because this is a good comparison. One game that I love is Phantasy Star Online for the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
Love that game, and I must have put thousands of hours into that game. Getting into battles in that game is fun. The battle system is engaging. I mean, it's simple, but there's enough to it that you can really fiddle with it and get it working just the way you want. And another game is, and I think you've played this one, is Skies of Arcadia.
Ooh, yes, I love Skies of Arcadia.
I love Skies of Arcadia. I'm not an RPG guy, and I love Skies of Arcadia. And that battle system is really, really unique.
Well, not to mention they mix in the whole ship battle system as well.
Yeah.
Which is even better. You know?
Which adds to the actual battle system. They add in this whole ship-to-ship combat thing, which is awesome. One thing that I always found funny, not to get off topic, but on the Dreamcast version of that game, whenever you got into a battle, you'd hear the Dreamcast disc drive, how loud it is?
Yeah.
Right before you get into a battle, you'd hear the disc go, rant, rant.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, I'm going to hit a battle right here. Here we go.
Uh-huh.
You'd hear it coming. So it's kind of like you just walk around until you hear the motor go off. And you're like, okay, battle. But no, I would just wander in like open areas all the time in that game just to get into battles because I thought it was amazingly fun. But yeah, but that's part of the game. If you can't make part of your game enjoyable and fun to play, or at least tolerable, let's use that word, why have it in the game at all? If you find it boring enough that you feel you have to implement a purchasing system using real-world money...
Well, there was also that thing that you read in the article, as you were kind of reading it out loud before we started this, was that developers, or more or less the publishers, could basically make those sections of the game boring so that people will want to buy the content instead of just doing it themselves.
Oh yeah, that was one of the comments on the article.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. Yeah, they could make that part of the game
purposefully
boring, so you would want to bypass them. But at that point, why are you playing the game if you find it boring?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this isn't a fault of the gamers, and people wonder why there's piracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you got to put up with this crap, and I don't know. It's just
no. Piracy is a service issue, and when we have to and when we're dealing with stuff like this that people don't like, well, they're still going to play your game. They're just not going to want to pay for it because they don't want to deal with that.
You wonder why EA was rated the most hated game company last year. This is why. Because they come... Now, I will say, in the article, John Calhoun of Visceral says it was his idea, not EA's. It was the Visceral's idea. That is such bullshit. Yeah, I know what's going on here.
They just don't want to get in trouble with EA, because if they get in trouble with EA, then they're not going to get any more money from EA.
Yeah, because
that's the problem.
Because who's putting the money into the game? EA is. So what are they going to do? Whatever EA tells them to do. So I bet you anything, EA looked at the game and said, is there any way you can make more money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can sell DLC. Yeah, but besides that, well, there's the online pass. Yeah, but... A little bit more.
Well, these free-to-play games have this type of microtransaction system.
Try to make that work in here somewhere. It just, I can see this being a really slippery slope. I would rather, this is just me, I would rather spend $10 more on a game than have to do this microtransaction BS.
Yes.
I would much rather spend $70 on a game and get a full game than have to go through this. Now, again, like I said, I want to reiterate, the developer said in the interview that it's not required. But I'm going to assume more likely than not they're hoping people will take advantage of it. And the scary thing is, if enough people take advantage of this, or are stupid enough to use this, it's going to happen again. It's going to pop up in another game. Imagine if, I don't know, Mass Effect 4 had microtransactions. Or, heck, look at Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Another really good example. Has that real money auction house where you can go in there and just buy in-game items if you want them with real money. From what I understand, people are ditching that game left and right.
Yeah, I remember seeing a graph chart of players, just the amount of players playing the game. And then, it was really high for the beginning, months, and then all of a sudden, straight line down.
You wonder why that is.
And it's just all this whole real money incorporation bullcrap that's just turning players off. And I really do hope that this fails, kind of like Diablo 3 did.
I hope it blows up in their face. That's what I hope. I hope people look at this and just get disgusted.
Yep.
And boycott EA. And really boycott EA.
Yeah.
Because, you know me, I don't buy EA games.
Nope.
I was done with them a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly when they had Origin start up, and just I can't even, like, I'm done with Capcom. I might even be done with Ubisoft if they keep up this DRM that they're putting on, because all they know is money. And that's fine. You're in a business to make money. I understand that. But you're not going to make money. You're not going to steal. I'm not going to allow you to steal from me. This is essentially stealing. If you do a good job at something, then we reward you. If a game is good, then you will be rewarded.
People will buy your game.
If it's not, the last thing you need to do is to try to force people into buying in-game stuff with real money to try to offset the fact that you made a subpar game. So, if anything, this has just proven to me that Electronic Arts is nothing but a greedy corporation. And like I said, I understand they're in the business of making money. They have shareholders. That's how this business goes. I get it. But this is the wrong way to go about it. You are going to lose so many fans, so many supporters of your company over this kind of thing. I mean, I know a handful of people who don't buy Capcom games because of the stuff that the Capcom's been pulling recently. And I don't blame them, and I'm one of them.
And like me, who refuses to buy Ubisoft games anymore.
Yeah, and you won't buy Ubisoft games. My friend Ken at work, he doesn't buy Ubisoft games either. Simply for the fact that you have to be online all the time and all their DRM that they put in their games. So let's just hope that this... I would love to see this backfire on EA and cause a huge problem. So, yes, anyway. For anybody listening, I'm done. I'm just done. But for anybody listening, if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link to the article down below.
Articles.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be more than one. I will definitely link to the individual interview, because that was what I found to be the most eye-opening.
And insulting.
And insulting, yes. Thank you. Anyway, alright, so let's move on. I don't know, what's the next part? Games we've been playing?
Yeah.
Alright, well,
Sounds about right.
and we'll get into that. So if you want to start us off, go right ahead.
My pleasure. Alright, well, the game that I've been playing the most recently, thanks to a Steam sale, is Sleeping Dogs. It is a open world martial arts triad type game.
It's a Grand Theft Auto clone.
Kind of like Grand Theft Auto, yes. But
or Yakuza.
Or Yakuza. And I don't know what it is about that game. It's just fun to play. I mean, I generally, while I do enjoy open world games, I have played through pretty much all of the Grand Theft Autos.
You like Just Cause 2.
And I like Just Cause 2. You know, it's just... I guess it has to do with the whole martial arts / fighting system. Because in the game, guns are hard to find. They're really hard to find. Unless if you know specific, locations where maybe a pistol is. But
right.
Other than that, you're relying on your hand-to-hand martial arts combat. Which, plus there's the different types of enemies where there's the grapplers where you can't, grab them because then they'll just counter you instantly. There's the people with weapons that you have to, make sure you dodge and counter effectively, else your health is going to take a nice hit. And, it's really engaging in terms of, taking out enemies. And sure, there are the segments where when you are fighting, the higher class triad, they have guns, but there's generally a gun readily available to you for that section, which I'm okay with. But it's just the fighting system that I guess is what's really drawing me into it. And plus all the characters. There's quite a bit of characterization between all of the...
I really like when developers take the time to do that.
I would say main casts, kinda. Just the characters you interact with the most. Because there were several moments in the game, like I won't spoil anything, but when
yes, please don't, because this is one of the games that I've kind of wanted to try.
When something really, really bad happened, you're like, oh man, you really felt bad for that, and it just brings out something that most games generally don't anymore. And I don't know. Let me quick pull up the amount of time I've been playing this. Yeah.
When did you start playing it? Like a week ago?
Yeah, I have 15 and a half hours on this. And I bought it... Let's pull up my transaction stuff. January 27th. So, Yeah.
Yeah, less than a week.
Yeah, 6 days. 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
I have... trouble playing most games for that amount of time, and it's just really good. There's a lot of pointless kind of cosmetic-y DLC that comes with it. I of course didn't get it because I don't see the point. But if you want that, go for it. But no, Sleeping Dogs is a really fun and engaging game, and I do recommend it to anyone who's a fan of, just fighting games, because it is kind of a brawler, or open world games, because there's that in there too. And also there's just so much other stuff to do other than the main quest. Like, there's street races that you can do. There's one-time dates that you can go on with female characters that you run into throughout the main story. There's drug deals that you can bust because, you're a cop also.
Right.
And, there's just other stuff to do on top of, the whole main story, and it's just fun.
Yeah, that was a game that I was really surprised at, because I remember seeing it before it came out. They were showing trailers and whatever. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of open world games at all. There's a few that I like. And yeah, that looked like a lot of fun. It also helped that I liked the true crime games that's a sequel to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
The fact that I liked True Crime Streets of LA is definitely... I want to pick it up. I missed the sale on Steam. I just did.
I just wish
and there was another game coming out, and I'll talk about that when I get to it. But there was another game coming out that I wanted to buy instead.
No, I just wish I would have picked it up at the whole Steam 5-minute error with Sleeping Dogs, where it was 91% off, meaning it was less than $5. But I got 15 hours in a $10 purchase. That's quite a lot. So
yeah,
so I don't regret that in the least.
Mm-hmm.
The next
anything
game.
Else you've been?
Yeah, a couple. Also during the Steam holiday sales, I picked up Rage for $5. It's okay, really. It's just.
See,
that's
a game. That's a game I don't.
Yeah. I know. It's just because of the whole. They locked off content in terms of if it's used or not. But I got it just because I was interested in it. It was $5, but it's just kind of boring,
What? An id game that's boring?
All you do is you get a quest, and then you go driving down this linear hallway, or kind of cavern, I don't know. It's just it's very linear in terms of places to go. It's not really open,
Yeah, you're basically stuck to driving down tunnels.
Pretty much, just to get to specific areas. And then, once you beat the quest, then guess what? You got to drive all the way back, and it's just not really engaging in the least. And the other thing that really, really, really bothers me is the texture pop-in is horrid in the game. I mean, I know it was bad before, to what it is, but still,
I remember hearing about that when the game came out, that a lot of people were having texture problems.
It's still really bad. Basically, what it does is it takes whatever you're looking at with the camera, and that's the textures it loads. But everything else behind you goes to low quality textures, which I get it. It's trying to save on video RAM space and everything. But the problem is when you look away from the stuff that already loaded in, then look back, it has to reload back in.
I had that same problem. This is going to sound really stupid, but I had that same problem with Duke Nukem Forever. It had that same issue for me. Is I'd look at something, then as I would turn, you could kind of see the world pop in.
Yeah, but it wasn't as bad as Rage.
No, it was tolerable in Duke Nukem.
At least with Duke Nukem, it was just the initial load that was kind of bad, but then everything else was just kind of, it still worked where it didn't really distract you. This distracts the hell out of me. Every time I turn, it just bothers me.
Is it enough to make you stop playing?
I don't really feel a need to play it right now.
Okay.
And
well, you have Sleeping Dogs now.
Yeah, I have Sleeping Dogs, so... But, yeah, it's just kind of meh in terms of gameplay.
That's something that happens in Borderlands 2 that kind of bothers me, is they have that thing where it takes a while for the textures to pop in on stuff. Which...
It takes about, 5 seconds-ish.
Yeah, it's fine, because once it loads, it's generally okay, but if you go up to an ammo cache and try to pick up all the ammo, it takes a second for the ammo textures to load in, which I don't really care, because all I'm doing is picking them up.
Uh-huh.
And I just pick them up and go, but yeah, they just look like boxes for a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you cover Painkiller Hell and Damnation.
Oh, please. Oh, is that what we're talking about now?
No, I'll just have you...
All right, I'll
talk about it when you're going to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple of games, but that's definitely going to be one of them. Because, yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I also picked up Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams, which, for those of you who don't know, it's an extremely old game series that I guess this company decided to make another game within it. And it's
Well, explain a bit. What is Gianna Sisters? Because I know what Gianna Sisters is. But...
it's basically, I forget whichever company made it, but it's basically their answer to Mario Brothers, back in the day.
The thing was, the company, I can't remember the name of the company, but yeah, the company that wanted to make, basically asked Nintendo if they could port over Super Mario Brothers to PC.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo said no. But they already kind of started, so they finished the game, but then they put different characters in it and call it the Gianna Sisters instead of Super Mario Brothers. Ha ha ha. And it popped up again on the DS, I think.
Yep.
And then they did a Kickstarter to fund the one that's on Steam.
Yep. Well, anyway, the main
that has been your history lesson for the week.
Yeah, the main gameplay element of Gianna Sisters is it's a hardcore platformer. You die a lot, but the main gameplay element is that you're collecting a bunch of different colored gems, and in this one, I think, because in the other ones it just kind of really didn't matter who you were playing as, but in this one, you can collect yellow gems as one sister, red gems as the other, and blue gems by, either. So you're constantly switching back and forth between the sisters, and as you switch, the actual level itself changes. Things that you couldn't, jump on with one sister, you can with the other, and the enemies change. It's just a whole visual change on top of the music soundtrack, which just flows really nice in between the changes as well to show, I guess, what the type of landscape has changed to. And it's really nail-bitingly hard. I mean, the first boss I came up to, looking at my death rate in that, it was like 150. No joke.
Yeah. No, I saw a video of a guy playing it on YouTube, and yeah, it looks pretty difficult.
But the thing is even though it's difficult, there are plenty of checkpoints, so you really don't lose much progress, and plus, you kind of learn as you go, something that has been lost among gaming recently. But
I have a game that kind of does that, but I'll talk about that.
But no, it's quite a very fun platformer, and if you like challenge, then you're going to love this game, and, I like challenge. So I really do enjoy this game, because it's just all the more satisfying once I get past that spot I just died 100 times in, and it's just really fun. Another game that I picked up, I had to get it on Desura, because Steam and their stupid green light system. But I'm gonna have trouble pronouncing this. It's Croix Lure, I think. I probably completely butchered it. But it's basically an arcadey hack and slash game that was released by New Media, and it was originally a Japanese indie game that they localized and brought over here.
Oh, is this that one that's kind of like Earth Defense Force?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, completely different. And it's an arena fighter where the story mode takes 15 minutes to beat. But that's not a problem. Yeah, the whole point of the story mode is that you're in some sort of trial, and you're basically racing against your rival character to complete the trial first to become something, I forget. I think it's like princess of whatever country you're in. But but there's this whole 15-minute time limit to the overall story. But it's not that bad because as you're fighting through, there's different paths that you can take that basically change, what you encounter, what you have to deal with as you're going through. So you would be playing through the story mode multiple times just to reach these different paths. On top of there's a score attack mode, a survival mode, which is very just akin to arcade. So basically the main point of this game is just to get your score as high as you can without dying, and this game is pretty difficult with it being a Japanese indie game as well. But the gameplay itself, you swap between 4 different weapons that you basically gain as you play through the game, and each weapon has its own special attack on top of the whole burst move, which is kind of like a bomb if you played any bullet hell games.
Okay.
It just basically clears, that section of the screen you're on. And the combat itself is very fluid. It doesn't, you're not a stiff character moving in between attacks. You can basically just dance around enemies with little effort. I mean, you still have to know what button presses you're doing, but still, it just...
Right, once you learn it feels rewarding.
It just flows really nicely in between all of the attacks, the special attacks, and everything to where, you can get up some really nice combos and just, bring up your score, because that's really the point of the game. If you have 15 minutes to spare, then, go for it. And I specifically just bought it because I support any localization company that brings out games like this, just because I think they deserve it, and I do think that more Japanese indie titles should be brought over here, because, well, I do play quite a bit.
Yeah, you have a very eclectic selection of games on your laptop that are all in Moonspeak.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I kind of, force myself to learn specific buttons to press. But either way, it's a really fun arcadey hack and slash, and if you're into it, check it out on Desura. Right now it's on Steam Greenlight. Go vote for it if you want. But if
go ahead and spell it out, because
CROIXLEUR.
Okay.
Is how you spell it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in case people want to find it.
In case people want to find it.
Decipher whatever you pronounce.
Yeah. Or you can get it right now on, Desura, or you can buy the game itself off of their website, but I would recommend getting it off of Desura because you can get the standalone version along with the Desura version through Desura. So, good to go on that. Let's see. Any handheld games I've been playing? Persona 4. Persona 4. Right. God, I can't believe I forgot about that. Well, it's just sitting right here.
That was your entire week when...
Yeah. As soon as I got it, just because our friend Alex just wouldn't shut up about it.
Trust me, he's still bothering me about it.
I got it, and the game is... It's very different from what a standard RPG is. Now, the main problem I have with RPGs is that it doesn't matter how dire the situation is, how world-ending, the final boss's spell is as he's casting it, that you're trying to stop it. It doesn't matter how long you take to go and do it. You can go off and do whatever the hell else you want. Like in Final Fantasy VII, after Sephiroth summoned the meteor to destroy the world. Let's go chocobo racing. Doesn't matter. As long as I don't go to that North Crater.
Yeah, as long as you don't go to the next area, the story doesn't
the story doesn't progress. Persona 4 doesn't do that. It basically has this whole day system where you move through the days, and whenever a person falls into the, I guess you just call it the TV world, you have a specific amount of days that you have to go in and rescue them, which it's not that bad because they give you ample enough time. But still, it's kind of just enough time to do other stuff. But
so you don't feel like, so if you don't get them out of the TV world, it's not like you don't feel cheated.
Well, you have to get them out of the TV world, else you'll get a game over.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
Okay,
so,
then.
But the thing is that
but if you screw up and get a game over, you still don't feel cheated.
Yeah, because it's your fault because you didn't plan out your days well. That's what I love about this, is because you have to strategically think out your days as to how you're going to do it. And, you have to balance it between managing your social links, which I'll cover in a bit, and actually going into the TV world and leveling up your characters to make them stronger. Now, the other aspect of the game is social links, where you basically are being social with other students around your school. And what this does is that it basically strengthens your personas based off of whatever social link of whatever, I don't know, zodiac card, whatever bullcrap. Or no, it's like tarot cards.
Okay.
Certain social links strengthen certain tarot cards, and each persona is, has a tarot card alignment. And basically, it's just all a way to make you stronger. So it's you have to find a way to balance all of that on top of, increasing your character's knowledge, bravery, I forget another one, diligence, just so that then they can, participate in other events in the story. And, it's just, this might seem like a lot, but I got a hang of it pretty quickly.
Well, good. So you can manage it fairly.
It's easily manageable.
Okay.
Plus, they introduce every aspect of it pretty, step by step to where, you're not really confused going through it. But once you get the hang of it, it's just smooth sailing. And, I do enjoy the fact that I have to strategically plan out my days. I have to make sure I get stuff done before a specific day, else, well, game over, or else I'd be underleveled. Another thing is that the battles in the game, in general RPGs, status-inducing spells and attacks don't do squat. This game, you have to use them. They do mean a lot in battles. And
like your status effect to them,
like if you wanted to paralyze an enemy, or if you wanted to poison an enemy, or you wanted to stop them for a turn. This matters in this game, because there were times when just normal enemies I ran into on the battlefield completely decimated my party, all on my opening move, just because, I didn't set it up right. And, it's just, it's really a thinking man's game. You really do have to plan your stuff out, and you have to be careful. You can't just rush in and button mash attack and hope you win. No, you really have to tactically.
That's what my plan was.
You really have to tactically, approach each and every battle, else you are going to lose. Which, it's just a major change up to the whole RPG genre, which I wholeheartedly, agree and love about the game.
Now, my only other question then is, how frequent are the random encounters?
They're not random.
Oh, okay.
You actually see the enemies walking around on screen, and if you don't want to fight them, you can just run around them.
Alright, so it's like Tales of Symphonia or Tales of the Abyss kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way that you basically gain the upper hand on an enemy is you have the ability to attack in the open world. And if you strike the enemy, before they touch you, then you gain the advantage in battle.
What other game did that? There was another game that did that kind of thing. Where if you hit them with your, you could swipe your sword on the overworld, and if you hit them, that gave you an advantage.
Well, I know Paper Mario did that.
Yeah, Paper Mario did that. there's one specific one I'm thinking of, but I can't recall it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Tales of Symphonia? Could you do that?
No, not in Tales of Symphonia.
Okay, I didn't think so. There was one, but I can't for the life of me remember.
Mm-hmm. But no, if you are really looking for a good, well-developed RPG, get Persona 4. And plus, how long did Alex say he's been playing it?
4? He just started.
Oh.
3, though, he said. Well, no, 4 he's like a couple dozen hours in. But he said Persona 3 he's got like 150 hours in. Or something like that.
Okay, well, whatever. I'll just let you know I'm about a little over 12 hours in, and I just finished the first story arc. The very first one.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's quite a lengthy game.
Now, I have that from my PlayStation Vita, so I'll have to get into that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it so hard to play my Vita because I don't. Well, no, you know. I have a fear of putting it in my pocket because those 2 joysticks stick up off the face of the console. So it's like...
So you don't take it anywhere with you.
Right. So I want to buy a case for it, but the only case I like is out of stock on Amazon. So I only play it when I'm home. But the problem with that is I have 8 other game systems hooked up at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to choose what I'm going to play sometimes, and generally the Vita loses out.
Yeah.
But I do have it, and I should get into it, because I know you've been talking it up a lot recently.
Yeah, it's really fun. That should be everything on my end.
Okay, I have a few. I picked up Legendary Starfy on the Nintendo DS. Not really caring for that game much, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
it's slow. It's really, really slow, and it's driving me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It plays a lot like a Kirby game would, where you walk around and you have different abilities based on... Well, actually, I don't even know how you get the abilities. The only ability I was able to get was the dragon at this point. And I'm not even sure how I got that. I just ran into a boss and they're like, oh, you can shoot fire now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you play as a starfish, who's really cute, by the way. And you swim underwater and you get through all these little puzzle areas and stuff. There's a lot to do, but what really bothers me is Starfy moves so slowly. It's driving me nuts. And also, this is really a minor complaint, but the animation on Starfy is really limited. Like when I don't even know if it's a he or she. I assume it's a he.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. Starfy. Whenever Starfy's moving, it's either you're moving left or right or up or down. There's no sideways animation, so it just looks really stilted the whole time I'm playing. I don't know. I bought it used for $10 from a used game store, and I was really looking forward to it because it's one of the DS games I've been wanting to get for a while. And I'm going to keep playing it because I want to see if it gets any better, but I'm not too enthralled with it at the moment. I don't know. Have you played Starfy?
Yeah, I've played it a bit.
Okay. Do you kind of have the same feelings or not really?
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy the whole, swimming around in the ocean thing.
But it's slow,
kind of
right?
Fun. Yeah, it is kind of slow.
It's really slow. Because, I'm comparing it to Kirby, because a lot of people said it's like the Kirby series. But Kirby runs really quickly. You can get around really easily with Kirby, and Starfy just feels really stiff in comparison. I don't know. But like I said, I'm going to keep playing it and see if I like it better later. What else have I played? Ooh, I finally completed Heavy Rain on the PS3. What a game. I was enthralled from beginning to end. And my biggest problem was, I was playing it with our friend Alex. Or rather, he was watching me play it because he wanted to see the game. And we both got so into the story, he would come over and we would play it for hours at a time. And I think we beat the game in like 6 different sittings. But it was...
surprising for you.
Yeah, it was really hard, though, because like we'd eventually kind of get bored of it, you know, and be like, alright, I guess that's enough for tonight. But the last time we stopped, we were going to go to a movie. And so we had a couple hours before the movie, so we started playing Heavy Rain again. And it was just wrapping everything up, and you find out who the origami killer is and all that stuff. I won't spoil anything for anybody who hasn't played it yet. And then we had to go to the movie, and I'm like, oh, but alright, well, we'll come back and play it after the movie. But then it was too late, and I was like, oh, we'll do it later. He called me the next day. He's like, can we finish it? Oh, it's so good. I can't even... It's amazing. It's just amazing. A lot of people argue that it's not even a game. And I can see where they're coming from. There's not a lot to do. You basically are just moving a story forward. You're not so much playing a game as you are just like... It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book in game form.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're choosing what happens, but the story will progress regardless of your actions. So you're really just telling the game what to do. I compare it to a lot of like it reminds me of like point and click adventure games.
Yeah.
Where you click around the screen, you gather information, and then you progress the story that way. It's just more streamlined in a game like this. But anyway, really good story. I was totally into the characters, totally into the world. One of the characters, I won't say who, but one of the characters in my story died, and I was literally upset. I mean, I was literally like emotionally upset. Because it's partially my fault, and I didn't want the character to die, so I went back after I beat the game and fixed that particular part of the game, but just to see what would happen. Oh yeah, and of course it's got multiple endings and multiple possibilities based on how the game plays out. It's amazing. Just amazing. I highly recommend anybody play it. Or if you can't play that, try... what is it? Fahrenheit or Indigo Prophecy, which was the company's previous game, which is, I hear, very similar, and I'm looking forward to getting into that as well.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. You gave it to me like right after I beat Heavy Rain. God, now I gotta go back and play Indigo Prophecy. You want it? Yes, please. Let's see, what else is in my stack of stuff I've been playing? Oh, I gotta mention real quick Journey on PS3. I went out and bought the Journey Collector's Edition for PS3, and I set a night aside where I sat down, because I've heard the game's really short. It only takes like an hour, maybe a little more to get through it. So I set a night aside and I sat down and I played it. It deserves every bit of praise it gets. Journey is amazing. My only complaint, and this is really minor, is when I put the disc in my PS3, because like I said, I went out and bought the physical copy, it required me to install the game via a separate menu. This is hard to explain. Like, you put the game in and it pops up on the system display.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into the game and it shows you all the games that are on the disc. So I clicked Journey and I clicked install, and it told me to go back out to the system menu, go down one icon to a different disc icon that shows up to install the game. At which point the game plays perfectly fine after you install it. But so I thought, oh good, it's installed on my system. I don't have to worry about the disc. So I took the disc out, and a little bit later I wanted to play through it again. And they're like, please insert the disc. Why? I installed it to the hard drive. It shouldn't matter if the disc isn't there. I mean, I understand why the disc is in the drive, because they want to make sure you're not just, giving it out to your friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need the disc to be in the drive, why don't you just read it off the disc? Why bother installing it? It's just kind of annoying. But anyway, that aside, the game is amazing. And honestly, Phoenix, I tell you, if you have an hour or so where you just want to play it, I recommend it. I really do. Just sit down and play it.
I'll have to consider that next time we hang out.
Yeah, I really, really think you should. It's unlike anything I've ever played. And yeah, you get emotionally attached to whatever it is you are. I don't even know what you're just this like nondescript character, and for some reason you just have all these emotions attached to this thing. It's really something else. I mean, God, I'm getting all emotional now. Heavy Rain and Journey. Just like a big softie.
Manly tears.
Yes. Single tear. No, but seriously, it's really good, and I highly recommend everybody play it. And I mean everybody. It's worth the price of the console. And I'm not even kidding when I say that.
Oh.
Yeah, I am... No, I stand behind that. I stand behind that statement. It's worth the price of the console. Anyway, moving on. Played a bit of Lollipop Chainsaw. The game hit $20 at a store near me, so I picked it up. Suda51, ridiculous over the top, cheerleader killing zombies, always fun, having a blast. There was one level where I had to protect this birthday cake from explosions, or from exploding, and these flaming zombies would run in and try to hit the cake, and you had to kill the zombies before they got the cake. It's kind of a fun little mini game that really was... I won't say out of the ordinary. It certainly was unexpected. But then again, in a game like that, I don't really know what to expect. But no, it's hilarious. It's fun. It's a blast. I really enjoyed that game. A couple more. Actually, just two more. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. I've been getting through that. I feel like I'm almost done with it. I must have pumped my way through that game in just a couple of days. But I think I'm wrapping it up. I don't know. But again, really good game, great characters, great dialogue, great set pieces. The controls are far improved over the first game. Like, playing the second game, after playing the first game, I can't go back to play the first game anymore. Because the controls are so broken in that game. Like, the cover system in the second game is better, the guns feel better, the hand-to-hand combat is better, the stealth is better, if a bit broken, but you can utilize stealth a lot easier. And there have been times in that game where I will literally take out an entire screen of people without firing a shot. Where in the first game, it was like everybody had 360-degree vision. So if you tried, they just were like, there he is! How did you see me? I was behind you. But that's all fixed in the second game. So amazing, amazing game. I can't wait to complete it and move on to the third one. And it's just so much fun. What else? Oh, well, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. This is why I didn't buy Sleeping Dogs. Because I had the game coming up for pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought the game, and I bought the strategy guide for it as well. Studio Ghibli RPG by Level 5. It's like a cross between Tales of Symphonia and Pokemon, if that makes sense. Actually, yeah, that's a perfect comparison. It's Tales of Symphonia mixed with Pokemon.
Okay.
Essentially, you play as this kid Oliver who, and I won't explain why because of the story, you have to go into this alternate world. So you go into the alternate world, and there's these creatures called, I can never say it's Jin. Is that right?
The D-J-I-N-N.
Yeah, Jin.
Yeah, Jin.
Jin? Okay. So that's what they call them, and you basically can capture these things and use them in battle. So each character in your party can have up to 3 creatures to fight with, and they level up as you use them, and the creatures will augment the user's abilities and stats, and vice versa. And also the 3 that you throw out together will work together. Like, some work together better than others, so there are certain team-ups that just are generally a better fit. Because, like, if you have 3 fire guys, that's not really going to work all too well. Or creatures that use fire, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily going to work too well a lot of the time, so you kind of want to mix and match them, try to figure out a team that works well for you, that fits your style of play. The animation is jaw-dropping. It's unbelievably gorgeous. I have never, ever in my life seen an RPG that just... every single second of it is just... it's bright and colorful and tons of character in it. The world is enthralling. I could go on and on and on and on. And I'm only like an hour and a half into it. I'm technically not even to the little creature Pokemon thing yet. This is all just what I've been reading in the manual. Yeah. Well, the thing was, I was playing Heavy Rain at the time.
Yeah.
Because I was wrapping that up. That was my problem. So I didn't have a lot of time to play White Witch a lot. But no, Ni no Kuni is just is blowing me away. I hope that didn't make me sound like a hypocrite. Great game. Just great game. I can't wait to get into it more when I get home from work tomorrow. Oh. Yeah, that's about it. I played some Sonic Racing Transformed with Jason and you when we were all hanging out. And that was fun. Always is. Unlocked a couple new characters and mods and stuff. The co-op in that is fun. That's good co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically to unlock characters and stuff, you need a certain number of stars, and the way you get stars is you have to compete in events and meet or exceed the requirements. So, like, get third place or beat this lap time or something like that. And if one of the 3 of you do it, that's it. You just get the stars. So it really is a team effort. So a lot of times if, say, you were in front of me, I wouldn't try to hit you with anything.
Yeah.
I would just kind of stay back and try to keep people off you.
Yeah. It was kind of like when we were in that one where each of us had 3 hits. And
the battle mode.
Yeah, and we never fired at each other. We just fired at the other cars.
Right.
Just because it didn't matter, who won between us, because then you just get the stars anyway.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter who crosses the finish line or who meets the requirement first. Everybody gets the star. So, that's good co-op. Let's talk about some bad co-op. The last game I want to talk about is the game Painkiller Hell and Damnation, is it called?
Yes.
Okay, Painkiller being... it's a couple years old, the original Painkiller. Mm-hmm. It's a PC game. I think there was also an Xbox port on the original Xbox. It's an amazing first-person shooter. If you like Doom-style or Quake-style shooters, there's nothing better. Period. Great game. One of my personal favorite games of all time is the original Painkiller. So, I think it was you who brought it up that on Steam is a game called Painkiller Hell and Damnation, which is a remake of the first game in the Unreal 3 engine,
mm-hmm.
with co-op throughout the entire campaign. Which, if there's nothing better than killing a horde full of zombies with a tree gun, it's killing a horde of zombies with 2 tree guns.
With your buddy.
Yes, with your best friend slaughtering hordes of zombies. So I bought it. I just bought it. It was like $6 or $7.
Mm-hmm.
And we downloaded it. We tried and we played it. What a mess the co-op is. Look, I'm sure the actual game is fine, but I didn't buy it for the actual game.
Yeah, I played a bit, and just by myself, and the game plays pretty much just like Painkiller. So,
okay.
So the actual game is fine.
But the co-op is broken. Okay, so here's how it works. So in order to get the co-op game going, you launch the game, and you start co-op game, you select your level, your settings, whatever, and then you hit go. That's it. There's no lobby, there's no password protection, there's no friend invites, there's nothing. Well, you can invite your friend through Steam, but the thing is, if somebody else joins your game in the meantime, before he gets there, it's just SOL. The guns don't feel right.
Yeah.
The shotgun...
That was another thing I had an issue with. The stake gun or the tree gun, if you enjoy Painkiller.
The one that shoots entire tree trunks and pins people to the wall.
Yeah, that gun is more or less a one-shot kill gun.
Yes.
Except on later, harder enemies, which is understandable. But it's pretty much a one-shot kill gun. In this first, we got it in the second level. In the second level, it was taking 2 or 3 shots to kill a guy, which completely makes that gun useless because of its slow fire rate and its slow reload speed.
Yeah, that thing reloads very slowly, and so the fact that you have to hit enemies multiple times just doesn't help anything. The shotgun is stupid weak.
Yeah, and the shotgun was my favorite weapon in the original Painkiller.
Yeah, I mean, it still does what it did in the original game. It can shoot ice, and it can shoot shotgun shells, but the problem is they don't pack the same punch. There's these skeletons all over the place that in the original game take one hit and they're done. You just shoot them with a shotgun, they fly apart, and that's it. This, I was shooting them sometimes 6 times.
Yeah, I was shooting them, even ones right up in my face and damaging me. I was shooting like 4 or 5 times before they would finally, break apart.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
When in the original, they just kind of died in one shot. Well, everything pretty much died in one shot if you're really up close to them with a shotgun.
Yeah.
But
so the weapons are
same.
The weapons are unbalanced. At least they don't match up to the original game. What was the other problem I was having? Oh, you don't have the Painkiller.
Yeah, in the first level, you do not start with the Painkiller. You get it in the second level.
For anybody who hasn't played Painkiller before, the quote-unquote Painkiller is a weapon that you get. It's your melee weapon. That's basically like 3... Think of it like a spinning fan blade that also fires lasers. Or a laser, I should say.
Well, what it does is it basically shoots the blades out, and then a laser basically attaches you to the head, and anything that crosses that laser gets damaged.
Right, okay, so yeah, it creates just like a death beam,
mm-hmm.
and anything that walks into it just gets damaged. Or you can just walk into them spinning the blade, and they just fly apart. It's actually the funnest part of the game. You don't get that at the beginning of the game. You get this other weapon I've never seen before that shoots like green lasers and buzzsaws. Yeah, saw blades. Now, the green laser is useful in that weapon because you can pull souls towards you, but other than that, it runs out of ammo, which I find strange.
The ammo is those square saw blade things.
The piles of saw blades that you find around.
Yeah, but there's just not enough of them.
Yeah, there's not enough of them, and it doesn't match up to the awesomeness that is the Painkiller melee weapon. But, whatever. That's all well and good. The game does look amazing, by the way. I really do have to say that. Mm-hmm. It is a huge graphical improvement over the first game. Because even at max settings, the first game pales in comparison to the remake. The remake's amazing. But the biggest complaint about the co-op mode, at least, is the fact that all of your stats between the 2 players are not combined.
Yep, so the coins collected, the souls collected, and the enemy kills are not totaled together. There's a thing in the game where you collect tarot cards, and to unlock them, you have to basically do something within that level to unlock them, be it collect a certain amount of coins,
yeah,
souls,
there's
kill
a
enemies.
requirement.
There's requirements that you have to do. It is impossible to do that on co-op.
Case in point, we were playing the cathedral level, and in the cathedral level you had to
collect 500 coins.
Yeah, like a number of gold coins to unlock the tarot card. So we're going through, and I'm keeping track on my screen of how many gold coins. And we get to the end of the level, and I said to Brett, oh, okay, I have 148 gold coins. Or I said we have 148 gold coins is what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I have 300.
Yeah.
Or something. And what do you mean? It says here we have 148. Well, I have 300. Okay. That doesn't make any sense. So then what happens? I hit the end. There's a glowing orb you walk into to end the level. I end the level. It only counts my coins. So I don't meet the requirement for the tarot card.
Yep.
That makes getting most of the tarot cards in the game impossible.
Because then you would have to mostly focus on one person getting everything, which is kind of hard even to do in the original game itself. The single-player part.
Yeah, there's a lot of levels that I never got the tarot cards in because it's just too difficult. But,
It's basically ruining the reason for co-op.
The reason I bought the game on Steam was to play co-op, and the co-op is broken, in my opinion. That breaks the game. And I don't know, it bothers me to no end. There was another problem. Oh, there's no party system. So, you don't play through the entire campaign all at once. You have to actually set up each level individually to play through. The problem is that whenever we finished a level, I would get kicked back to the level select screen, and what would happen to you?
I got kicked back to the main menu.
You got kicked out of the game entirely, so then we had to set up another... So here's how it would go. I'd set up a level, and I'd go, okay, go now, I'm playing now, hurry, find me on the server list, before someone else gets in here. And then we'd play for 15, 20 minutes, and then he'd get booted out of the game, and then I go, okay, I'm starting up the next level. Now, find me now, I'm playing now, hurry up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's not a lobby that you all go into and go, okay, everybody ready? Start. The game just starts, and then you come in later.
Yep.
Another thing I found weird was when your character dies, you have like a 5-second respawn or something.
It's more like 10 seconds. I basically play as just an ethereal spirit that can't shoot my weapon or anything, and my screen is entirely green. The good thing about it though is I can still collect coins and souls, just I can't do anything.
Right. But if I died, since I was running the game, the game's over.
Yeah.
And we have to start the level over again. Mm-hmm. Which I find strange. I don't see why they can't just give you infinite respawns if that's going to be the case. I mean...
Or, end the game if both of you die at the same time.
Yeah, or if you died, the level would end, or if I died, the level would end. But instead, they kind of favor the second player. I guess if you're playing with someone who doesn't know what they're doing, that would be helpful. But I don't know. It personally bothered the crap out of me. But anyway, so I don't recommend picking that game up. I hope they fix the problems.
I don't recommend it if you're looking to get it just for the co-op. The co-op just doesn't work right.
No, I wouldn't recommend it for the single player either because the guns don't work correctly. And the melee weapon's missing. Well, you get it eventually, but you don't have it at the start. Level. I know, but it's not the original game though. If they're claiming this is a remake of the first game, it's not because you don't have the painkiller at the start and the weapons are unbalanced. It's the same problem that you had with the Black Mesa Half-Life mod.
Oh, right.
Where you said that the jumping was all screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having the same problem here. The weapons aren't right, and you're missing one at the start of the game. That's not the same to me. If you can overlook that, Painkiller is still a really good game, but I would recommend going out and finding the original.
Yeah, you look for the Black Edition.
Yeah, find the Black Edition, and it's really cheap on Amazon. It's like $10. And I would recommend playing that instead of playing Hell and Damnation. At least, unless they fix it, which I hope they do, because I want to play co-op. So anyway, that's pretty much all I've been playing. Trying to think of anything else, but I can't really come up with anything right now. That was... Oh! One more game, if you don't mind.
I don't care.
Atomic Runner. I don't know why I never heard of this game before. I have a thing I do where I go into a used game store a lot of times and I'll buy a bunch of Genesis games, mainly because I love the Genesis. But I'll go in and buy just a bunch of random Genesis games I've never heard of. And one of them I picked up recently was called Atomic Runner, which is a Data East game released in, I think, 92? Anyway, you basically play as this character named Chelnov, whose father is murdered by Deatharians, the original inhabitants of Earth, and whose sister is kidnapped, and so you have to defeat the Deatharians and rescue her, and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. This game is absolutely amazing. We were talking earlier about the Gianna Sisters game and how rote memorization is needed to get through, like, some of the same thing goes here. Imagine a game where you're playing like an R-type style shooter, where the screen is constantly pushing you forward. Think Altered Beast or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're running across the bottom of the screen, and you can shoot in either in front of you, behind you, or at 45-degree angles either direction. You cannot shoot straight up. And as you're running, there's just floods of enemies coming on screen, and one hit, you're dead. That's the game. You just shoot your way through, pick up power-ups, get better weapons, and hopefully get to the end of the level. One hit, you're dead. On the plus side, there are a lot of checkpoints.
Yeah, it's very generous with checkpoints.
Yeah, so you never feel like... You never lose much ground. But it's one of those where you have to memorize things. You have to know what's coming up, which the first time through, you're not going to know. So a lot of times it's just dumb luck. But it's an amazing game. I bought it for $3, and I spent probably 4 or 5 days playing it straight.
Yeah, I remember one specific part when I was playing that after you handed me the controller, was we were playing through the second level or whatever, and I was, just playing through it. Of course, I haven't, memorized these parts yet, but I was just going through it. I was just like, oh crap, oh god, shoot that, oh crap, jump, hit him, oh Jesus, I can't believe I'm making it this far, oh crap, oh, there I died.
It's so rewarding, though. Like, it's really addicting. It's almost like a puzzle game. It's not, but it feels puzzle-like in its level layout and enemy placement. And, the thing that really blew me away was the graphics in that game are outstanding. The backgrounds are really detailed, and best of all, the animation on Chelnov as he jumps around is really fluid. It reminds me a lot of like the original Prince of Persia or Karateka, that kind of like motion captured 16-bit animation. Really, really good game. I watched a couple people review it on YouTube, including one guy who shot the thing with his iPhone vertically, and he was shooting the screen. Well, he was shooting...
He was shooting a CRT screen.
He was shooting his room, and it just happened to contain a television that just happened to run the game, but I also happened to notice a giant, like, model ship that was above his TV, because, rather than zoom in and try to encapsulate the screen entirely, he had it way far off. But anyway, some people whose reviews I've seen really like the game, other people don't like the game. I can understand that. However, anybody who complains about the controls, I will admit the controls in that game are weird. Essentially, one button makes you jump, one button makes you shoot, and then another button changes direction he's facing. So if you need to shoot behind you, the default setting is you have to hold down the C button and then push left, and he turns around. That's really counterintuitive. What I found works best for me is if I go into the options menu and change it to there's 9 different presets, but if you change it to number 8, where the A button shoots left, the C button shoots right, and the B button jumps. And that works great. So, anybody who complains about the controls, just go to the options menu and fiddle with it till you find something you like, because there's 9 different presets. I'm sure something will work for you. No, but that is an amazing game, and definitely one that I recommend to anyone who's a fan of, like, old school 16-bit shooters. It's really something else. I'd never heard of it before I picked it up, and I'm glad I did. So, and like I said, it was only $3. So yeah, that's the last game, I promise. Well, I had to throw that in there because that's honestly what I've been playing a lot of recently.
Yeah.
Is just Atomic Runner, Atomic Runner, Atomic Runner. And I'm getting better. I got all the way to like level 4. So I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so anything else you want to mention?
Got nothing else.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess that'll wrap up this episode of Welcome to Bonus Stage. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I would really like to get some questions, so we don't have to sit here and talk to each other, because, you know...
So we don't have to sit here and just talk about games we've played.
Yeah.
You know, just...
So, please, anything you want to ask, it's an open floor, so go ahead and ask down below. So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up right here. So, this wraps up another episode of Welcome to Bonus Stage, and as always, I'm your host, Marauder.
And I'm Phoenix923.
And we'll catch you guys on the next bonus.